coming on. How does this city turn its young quarterback into your young quarterback? Like, that's actually, I think, we'll get to the whole, is it okay to run and where on the field and all that? That's a big deal here in San Francisco. But when Jalen Hurts was first seen in NFL games, it was like, I don't know where this is going. All of the sudden, late last year, so far this year, he looks fantastic. Take us through the evolution of that, the patience that's necessary by the team, and that whole dynamic.
Well, let me take you back to last year, because maybe that's where a kind of a light went off. In the playoff game against Tampa, he was late on throws, didn't go through his progressions, didn't make all the proper decisions, and honestly, Tampa was the better team, but they shouldn't have been up 31-0, and that was in part because of the quarterback. So he works hard. Now, it's only 2 games, but there's no question he is better. I spoke with Troy Aikman last night before the game, and he told me the week before he thought he did a good job, where I thought, and a lot of people thought, other than the head coach, thought he ran too much. But he says, no, he's made most of the right decisions. I didn't get to speak with him after the game. I respect Troy's opinion, obviously, on quarterbacks. So there is a mix, but the coaches are the ones that look at the tape and say, you know what, did he really have to run there, or could he have made a throw? And last night, Jalen Hurts had the proper mix. But what I'll tell the people in San Francisco now, I don't know how good Trey Lance can be, may be, but you got to have patience. You got to have patience with a young quarterback. Now, I'm not ready to say, because I had questions about Jalen Hurts coming into the season. I'm not ready to say, oh, he's the guy, and people, in the betting, everybody goes by what the odds are. In the betting, he's third in the MVP voting, according to the odds. The odds are nonsense. That's why they call it gambling. But he did get better. There's no question. And he's doing some things last night that I didn't see him do before. And Minnesota's a good team. They are a good team. Kirk Cousins obviously spit it up last night, as he seems to do so many different times. And I thought he was better, but he is what he is.
In primetime especially, he seems to spit the bit, as we go with a quick horse racing reference. The Jalen Hurts learning curve, and we all talk about Trey Lance, and everyone out here wants him to be Josh Allen. I think that's pie in the sky. Jalen Hurts might be a better possible upside comp. What does it take for a quarterback like Trey Lance to get into the Jalen Hurts mold?
Let's not anoint Jalen Hurts yet. He was really good last night, but how many games has Trey Lance started in the NFL? What, a handful, right?
4.
Yeah, 4.
Yeah, okay. I mean, and Jalen Hurts in his first year he was actually on the bench, as I guess Trey Lance was. His first year was on the bench. So it takes a little time to get into game competition. All this joint practice nonsense, and I don't know whether the 49ers do that or not.
They do.
It's just not it's not the same. The quarterback knows he's not going to get hit. There's no repercussions for not making the right read, other than the coach will tell you after practice, hey, listen, we looked at the tape, and this is where you should have gone with the football. So it takes time, and it takes patience. Patience is a virtue, which most of the time fans don't have. They're not very virtuous a lot of times. So it just takes time. Maybe, it's never good to get hurt. But he can watch some things now, and maybe he can think about what he's done. Obviously, I respect John Lynch. I think he's a really terrific football guy. He made a decision on Trey Lance, and he obviously saw something. I will go on record as saying I think John Lynch is right most of the time. Not right all the time, but we'll see what happens. But it takes time. It's going to take time. I don't know that the 49ers could have achieved what you or the fans want them to achieve with a quarterback that's really starting the season for his first time. So it takes time. I don't know how else to explain it, but nobody's got patience for time.
Yeah, well, especially when you have a roster like the 49ers do. I mean, I think what you're saying, and this is a question we've definitely been throwing out, is can an NFL team compete for a Super Bowl and develop a young quarterback at the same time? What's your thought on that?
Well, Josh Allen didn't get to the Super Bowl last year, and they may have been the best team. So, and it wasn't his fault, but I mean, there was a lot of things that went into that game against Kansas City. But it does take time for you guys to think that you were going to go to the Super Bowl this year. I mean, somebody's taking something, smoking something, whatever. You're on drugs if you thought you were going to go to the Super Bowl this year with a quarterback that young. Patrick Mahomes doesn't come along every day, but I don't know how many years it took him before Kansas City went to the Super Bowl. So it wasn't in his first year as a starter. I don't believe it was in his first year as a starter. So that's what it's going to be. Sometimes it takes a couple of years, but nobody's got patience for that. And that's just the way it is. Those are the hard facts of the situation. Can he get better? And with a little luck, especially in the NFL, the way it seems to be, I'll say watered down. The quality isn't as good at the top, but so it might take a couple of years. It's really hard for people to understand that, or sometimes you get lucky and things fall into place, and who knows what happens. But it's not going to happen overnight. I didn't think the Eagles were going to the Super Bowl this year. I thought they were going to win the division, but now when you look at the NFL, it's so hard to get there. It really is, as you have seen, and the Eagles saw, and at least when they got there, they won it in 2017. But it takes time. There's no other way to explain that. It takes time, and it takes luck. It really does take luck for that to happen. And the Eagles, there's some things that happened during that season when they won the Super Bowl, but and they were lucky they had Nick Foles having probably the year. There's probably no backup quarterback in NFL in the last 15 years that just stepped in and did what he did in that Super Bowl and won a Super Bowl. So it's really a difficult thing to do. I hate to preach patience to you and everybody else out there, because nobody wants patience. They don't want to know how to spell it. They don't want to know how to say it. They don't want to even think about it. But that's kind of what it is. I honestly think that the 49ers right now, and I'm not a Jimmy Garoppolo fan by any stretch of the imagination, I actually think this year you have a better chance with Jimmy Garoppolo, who is probably a better game manager, to go further than Trey Lance would have taken you in his first year. But you got to start that. You got to start that somewhere. So now the 49ers, you guys have to wait until next year.
Are we getting a kinder, gentler Howard Eskin? Is this Eskin 2.0? I'm not sure I've ever heard such patience from you, Howard.
Well, I've learned to have patience. Now, I don't like it, but you got to have patience.
Guns N' Roses.
Well, first of all, in Philadelphia, listen, our baseball team can't win squat. This playoff nonsense when there's so many bad teams in the National League. I let go patience with the Phillies. They're not going anywhere. They'll make the playoffs. They're not going anywhere. The Sixers, they're always good until the second round, and then they are what you think they are, and they're just not a championship team. So I've foregone. I let the patience go there. With a football team, we don't have patience because there's not enough games. You have 17 in playoff games. Now, I'm not kinder and gentler, but you ought to hear me on the Phillies. They're not going anywhere.
I think we can get the old Howard back right away. Hey, Howard, what do you think of Gabe Kapler?
Oh, boy.
All right, we're going to leave the room now.
I don't know what to think of Gabe Kapler. I say this, I wasn't a fan of what he did here in Philadelphia, but I think he learned when he went to the Giants. Now, last year was probably a miracle that happened and they won that many games, but it's not always in baseball. It's not, the manager can only screw it up. And I don't know that Gabe Kapler screwed it up in San Francisco. The Giants just weren't as good. He's okay. You just get a guy, just let the players play. Everybody, Joe Girardi, I thought, was a bad manager because he used the computer too much. And I think Gabe Kapler's learned to use a little bit more of himself and, looking at a situation rather than looking at a computer. If they get rid of computers in baseball, everybody would be better off. They wouldn't have to change the rules. They wouldn't have to have players look at cards to see how to pitch a guy, where to play a guy. Wouldn't have any of that stuff. So I think Gabe Kapler learned a little bit. I want to give him another year. I want to give him a chance at another year. And that's not kindler and gentler, but I saw the different things that he did with the Giants that he didn't do with the Phillies, and he didn't lock himself into all that analytic nonsense. It's a guide. It's a tool. It's not the end all be all. And Rob Thompson, a nice guy. He's no different. They played a lot of bad teams. The Phillies are actually 24 games over 500 against the minor league teams of Washington, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, and Miami. That's amazing. So that means they're under 500 against 500-plus teams. So they are what they are. So I don't have patience with them. I'm done. I don't see it.
There's the Howard Eskin we know. There he is.
Yeah, Howard, thanks, man. That was great stuff.
All right. Hey, you guys have a wonderful day, and don't worry. I mean, the Giants will kind of compete. Not the Giants. Well, the 49ers will kind of compete, but they're not going to a Super Bowl. So just kind of suck it up.
I'm gonna push back on that one, but Howard, thank you. The NFC doesn't have any good teams. I mean, Philly, Tampa, Green Bay, Rams, Niners. What do you want to put in there? Vikings? We haven't even gotten to the full playoff schedule or the full complement of playoff teams yet, and we're out of good teams.
Well, I'm going to say there's the top four, and then there's the middle, and then there's the back part of it. I think the 49ers are in the middle. They're not one of the top teams. Come on, get over it. You guys got to get over it.
I don't know.
Elite defense.
Yeah, we've watched this team with Jimmy Garoppolo for the last 5 years, and we know where this is going, Howard. If he's healthy, it's going deep in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. God bless you.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. I didn't sneeze, but anyway, thank you, Howard. Appreciate it. Yeah, there he goes. That's Howard Eskin.